Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is our first Talking Art in Maine of 2026. So that is exciting in and of itself, but even more so that we're kicking things off with something a little unique compared to what we've done before, their local celebrity, and I'm very excited about it, and thank you all for being here. I wanted to take a quick moment just to say a couple of thank yous. Free programs like this for the community don't happen unless we have support. And we had two great sponsors for this one. The first is the Damariscotta River Grill, where we just had a lovely dinner. And I learned that Glenn painted the fish on the windows and on the walls, which I didn't know. So that's my cool little tidbit of information. And also Damariscotta Hardware. So please support the businesses that support the arts. Things like this don't happen without them. Also, a huge thank you to Emily Sabino. The amount of work that she puts into getting the artists involved in this, doing all the research, getting the paintings. It is an incredible amount of work, and this wouldn't happen without her. So thank you to Emily. And with that, please join me in welcoming Emily Sabino and Glenn Chadbourne.
Peace and love.
Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you, Christina, for that warm welcome. Before we dive into the wonderfully spooky world of Glenn Chadbourne, I must give a ginormous shout out to Aaron Summers of Supplies Unlimited, who helped me gather the scans of Glenn's work.
Who rules?
Total lifesaver. And I also wanted to acknowledge the passing of one of Talking Art's most loyal audience members, Di Sylar. I know many of you know her. And Di always listened intently and asked insightful questions. So Di, wherever you are now, you are loved and missed by many. So tonight I'm thrilled to be interviewing internationally known horror and fantasy artist Glenn Chadbourne. My husband Lenny and I met Glenn and his wife Sheila when we became neighbors. We would see Glenn with a big grin slowly rolling down the street in his mildly hearse-like black car with a Ramones bumper sticker on the back. So of course we were intrigued. A few years passed and we found ourselves with a little white terrier who quickly became besties with Glenn's black pug, Boo. So began many adventures in and around a Chadbourne compound. Now when you approach Glenn's house, first you will notice an outdoor coffin. As I understand it, the coffin was an unannounced gift from a friend. Don't worry, it came empty. Which, in the warmer months, now serves as an attractive, spooky flower bed. Glenn spends roughly 10 to 12 hours a day in his immaculately clean studio. When we come for a visit, he will emerge with a warm and inviting hello. And then he will sit down on the floor and say to our dog, "Gesso, old hound, how are you?" What follows is often a comical smorgasbord of Glenified news and weather snippets, moving scenes from vintage hot sci-fi movies, amusing tales of coastal characters navigating in and outside of the law, and a wonderful show and tell of whatever artwork he's currently engaged in. For all of its fame, Glenn is refreshingly salt of the earth with a wonderful sense of humor that's embedded in his paintings and drawings. Here and around the globe, fans enjoy his spooky paintings and illustrations in any number of horror tales, from Stephen King to Billy Chismar to Jack Ketchum, just to name a few. There's many more. He's been interviewed internationally and nationally, and he's been a headliner at many horror conventions. But did you also know that in the early 2000s, Glenn performed as Nick Noxious and the Necrophiliacs, with WKIT chart toppers such as The Night Evelyn Crawled from the Grave and Brainworms. His album, Boneyard Lullabies, can be heard on Spotify. And for those of you who enjoy spooky online shopping, Glenn is just about ready to have a new Etsy storefront called Glenn Chadbourne, so be sure to check that out in the coming days. And now, let us raise the spookometer and give a warm Talking Art in Maine welcome to Glenn Chadbourne.
I feel like this is your life.
Okay, this is Apple Girl, Stephen King's story from Stephen King's story Chapelwaite. So Glenn, can you talk about your process of creating artwork that accompanies a horror story? Like, what do you decide to paint or draw? What do you do to prepare, and how do these details?
Well, I illustrated the original story, Jerusalem's Lot. And I did that in the Secretary of Dreams, part 1, I believe. Either part 1 or part 2, can't remember. But anyway, I illustrated the short story. It's one of my favorites. And it eventually got sold to a miniseries on, I think HBO or Showtime, one of the two. And in it starred this girl that I painted. I'll point this way, I'm looking at the screen up here. But she was called Apple Girl, and I thought that she was just a really gushy goth girl, and she kind of did it for me. So I said, I'm gonna paint that girl. So that's Apple Girl, and she was like this vampire girl up in the willy wax in the story, and she spoke to me. So I painted her.
Very good. So now, this was a cover for
That is going to be the upcoming cover for Cemetery Dance magazine of their next issue. And they aren't really go for your, tear your throat out, sort of blood and guts outfit. They're more of an atmospheric horror zine with all of today's top spooky writers and stuff. So they have I wanted to be more atmospheric and gothic and ghosty, and rather than in your face. So that's what came to mind, with a spooky ghost girl, ghost bride, and some trees, and a spooky house, and nice sort of autumn colors and the vibe. Got the vibe.
Yeah, everybody see the face in the tree?
Yeah, I hide faces and stuff a lot.
What appeals to you so much about horror?
Oh, Christ, you're born to it, I mean, I was a little kid, a carpet crawler, and, there were only 3 channels back in those days, and, I'd watch, Saturday afternoon creep shows and, Spooky Fest, and I just took to it. And, back in those days, there was a local store long before convenience stores. It was Right Store. Anybody remember that, on the corner going up Academy Hill? Well, once a month they'd get a new host of all the comics and magazines, and they had Famous Monsters of Filmland and Creepy and Vampirella and Eerie, and the EC comics. They had Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Horror, and my father would drag me down there and buy me these things once a month, and I was a little goth kid before the phrase was coined, and like a sort of a Pugsley Adams kid, and I'd get home and I'd chew through these comics and magazines, and I'd wait for Vincent Price's old spooky movies on Saturday afternoons, and I was the only kid. There weren't really kids to play with in the neighborhood, so I sort of crawled into myself and drew all this spooky stuff, and it stuck, and here I am, an old fart.
Okay, this is an illustration for Widow's Point by Rich and Billy Chismar, I think. So you've made a name for yourself internationally for these kind of drawings. So how long does it take you to complete a drawing like this?
That was for Rich and Billy's story, which actually just got an expanded version of the book recently, and I forget what I did. I think I did 8 or 10, 12 paintings for the drawings for the book. They take me on average, something like that, about 12 hours. That's a full day's work.
Yeah. And if you make a mistake, can you white it out, or do you have to start over?
I'm not like most artistes. I just draw straight out of my head with a pen onto the page, and if I think I goofed somehow, I turn it into a shadow, or I don't draw with pencil first.
You just go for it.
Straight. Yeah.
I mean, and
I've done it like that since I was, a little kid.
so you don't forethink things. You just let it come straight
Just
out of your
comes
hands.
out, it spills out. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, this is a never-before-seen comic panel that was based on a Stephen King story.
And Brian Freeman and I were going to try and pitch that to Steve. That was kind of a little inkling of the story Dolan's Cadillac, and it was. Well, it's a long story, but anyway, we pitched it and we never heard back on that one. But I had fun drawing it. So.
Very cool. All right.
It's a hit or miss business. Sometimes, it goes like wildfire, and other times you don't hear anything. So.
All right.
Lovely sound effects, man. She really.
Okay, can anybody identify this character?
That would be Doug E. Graves, who I created for Stephen King's old radio station, WKIT, before it changed hands. I did about, I'm thinking 15 years or more of Dougie-related artwork, but that's my creation. Closest thing I'll ever come to giving birth, I created Dougie. So.
Okay. Here we have Mr. Bones' Wild Ride by Billy Chismar in Midnight Under the Big Top. And I like that you have made his head really big and it's kind of at an angle and it looks like you're sort of looking down on him and it's like electrified all around him. So what are some of your go-to artistic tricks to dramatize a drawing or a painting?
Well, again, I just draw stuff till it feels right to me, And that one was a crazy story, so I figured a crazy drawing, and it kind of hits the vibe.
Definitely. Okay. There we go. Okay. So this drawing was made for a Jack Ketchum story. Yeah.
Called Peaceable Kingdom.
Yeah, and I was wondering, because Maine some years back, as I've learned from you, was quite a bit rougher and filled with many wild, not exactly law-abiding characters. So,
yeah, well, we...
do you take some inspiration from them?
Well... if you don't want true confessions, yeah, it was. It was a rougher joint around the edges for sure. When I was coming up, I'm a child of the '70s, so we had side of the roads were strewn with beer cans, and this, that, the other thing, and there were brawls constantly, But anyway, this story has to do with a northern Maine town, a fictitious northern Maine town that is rough, kind of a lumber town. And so these people are in the local bar and, they're going at it and those tempers are raised and whatnot. And they hear this kind of humming out in the woods, so that the whole town winds up walking out into a field and they see all these animals and they're around in a circle by a big bonfire. And it kind of, it's a moral story. The people in the town simmer down in wonder of these animals and stuff, and so it's a feel-good story. But
very cool.
Jack Ketchum, whose real name was Dallas Meyer, he was a good friend of mine, and he helped me a lot when I started to get into the business. So, kind of a little homage to him.
Yes. Okay. So this is a cover from Stephen King's annual called
Steve goes to the movies.
Yep.
And there he is with his friends.
Yep. So what's it like working with Stephen King?
Stephen King is a treasure for our state and a wonderful human being. And, years ago, when I first started, having inklings to do stuff for him, I was intimidated and, and I said, there's no way in hell he'll, I'm just me and whatnot, but having to come to know him and do some different things for him, he's a sweet man, a good soul. He's done a lot for the state, and I have nothing but the highest praise for him, and he's a genius to boot, and made me real happy over the years.
Do you work independently? You just read stuff and then you just design whatever you want?
They've always given me carte blanche. I did I did the Secretary Dreams Volume 1 and 2, and those are full of his old short stories. And, he just said, go for it. So I used my own noodle on what I wanted to draw, and after that I got a chance to do The Dark Man. And that was a poem he wrote in college. And again, he gave me carte blanche, and that thing's been through 3 different publishers. It's walking around Italy now, so.
Wow.
South America before that, and then I did PS Publishing in England. I've done a lot of work for them. They did the illustrated anniversary edition of Carrie, so I did that. And then the most recent and the biggest gig I've done was Cujo. I did the illustrated Cujo, and Steve really liked what I did for that. So all this stuff, it's something for my tombstone.
Right.
I've left something behind. So.
Okay. In addition to your illustrations and paintings for books, you also create custom paintings for fans who want to, say, be zombified, like these guys. Yep. How did that come about?
Well, there again, that was Cemetery Dance. I did, I forget, actually. They asked me if I'd zombify a couple of kids they knew that were DJs down in Baltimore.
These two, yeah.
Yeah, those two right there. And I said, sure, what the hell? And so I did it, and they liked it so much that they thought that there might be a buck in it, and said, how about zombifying people or their pets or haunting their houses? Thus, there you go, that guy. And so that became a whole little side bracket.
So a lot of your work has a strong narrative quality. So do you have any advice or tips on how to express a story visually? Or again, is this...
I think visually. I think movies in my head, how would it look on film? Yeah, I'm a visual cat.
Okay. Speaking of dogs and cats, you also do pet portraits.
Yeah, I just did that one for the Humane Society.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long did that one take you to do?
I slaved on that. That was like a 3-day thing.
Yeah. There's a few more. Just.
And look, there's Marilyn the cat.
Yeah.
Just did Merrill, my friend Storm out there, likely in the audience. There she is.
So this is an illustration for Night of the Tiger by Stephen King.
Yep.
I love the extra details you've got in this one, like the little string of lights blowing. I mean, it's bad enough that there's a tiger on the loose, but then
that was the hurricane blowing through the carnival, so things were.
So were those details all in the story, or did you just bring those in like, oh, we'll add some extra?
Well, you don't get much more visual than Steve, So I read the thing and I said, if I can keep up with this, I'll be doing all right. So I, again, I slaved on it. There's a lot of detail in that one.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Kitty cats.
And do you read all the stories before you do?
Oh yeah. That's one of the perks about my racket. When I illustrate short stories for books, I get them in advance before they see print. So I get to, kind of mull on what I'm going to do.
Okay, here is an illustration for Noro by William Gray, a story of a dog that is infected by an alien worm.
Yes.
How well did art school prepare you for this line of work?
Well, I pretty much went to art school to get out of the house. And so I could go act up in Portland and, sew my Odies and all that. So, and it was great, and I learned a lot of, perfunctory skills on light and shadow and this and that. But they were, everybody had their own ideas, and they were all kind of prima donnas, and they said, well, you'll never do this and that, make it larger and, think from your inner self. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, man. You guys are all dead. So I'm going to do what I want to do, and I've done it since I was a baby, so,
Amen.
So I learned a lot in art school, but pretty much did it to get the hell out of the house. There's Cujo. That picture went to Steve. I gave that to him.
Yeah, that's a friendly Saint Bernard that contracts rabies after being bitten by a rabid bat. You can kind of see all that in the.
That story was hard on me to draw because it's a tear-jerking story, and I'm a big doggy lover, and so it was kind of rough.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't his fault, he got rabies.
Yeah.
But I soldiered on with it. Did the best I
Okay, this is a commissioned Wolfman painting, and
Yes.
it's one of your favorite paintings.
I slaved on that. That thing's big. That thing's like 5 foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spent 3 weeks or so on that. The guy was a fan of whatchamacallit, Del Toro. Can't think of his name.
Benicio.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro, who's a great actor. And he played the new Wolfman when they revamped it a few years ago. And so he wanted Benicio, so I did my best with it.
Yeah, and the average size of your work is usually
I
about
work
this.
fairly small,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's a big one.
And here we have Kurt Barlow from Stephen King's Salem's Lot.
Yeah, a fangy fellow.
Yep. So when you're doing portraits, do you typically freehand them, or do you outline features from a photo to speed up?
I look at a photo, and a lot of times, like when I do pets and stuff, I want people to send me pictures of their animal. But I can't do it on my phone because my phone screen only lasts for about 5 seconds, so I'd be constantly pushing the thing and looking at it. So what I do is I print out a copy of the pet or the whatever they want drawn, so I can actually physically set it next to me and look at it, and then I go from there.
So it's basically freehanded.
Yeah, I freehand the picture and everything, but I have to have something to kind of
Yeah.
go by that's exact.
Okay, this is the boogeyman
That's the boogeyman.
from the story Night Shift.
Yeah. Stephen King's story, The Boogeyman.
Yeah, about a man who visits a therapist to confess that a monstrous entity from his closet has systematically murdered his 3 children.
Yes.
So do you feel that art has been a kind of therapy for you?
I've seen more shrinks than Carter's got liver pills, but horror treated me better than all of them put together. So.
Okay, there we go.
That's Fluffy.
Yep,
Fluffy from Creepshow.
Yep, that's a remark, correct? That's a remark?
That is a remark in
Yeah.
a book I did for someone, yeah.
So can you explain what a remark is?
That would be about 80% of my business. Different publishers advertise me as remarking their books. So when they have like a collectible book, like a King book that I had some stuff in, they will send it to me, and a remark is I will draw on the inner first page or wherever the first blank page is and do a really nice drawing. Remarks are usually quicker sketches that a lot of people do, but I take time with them. I take some of them 8-10 hours. So.
Cool. So do you feel that you have a monster within? And if so, is it a nuisance or a muse or something else?
Geez, that's a deep question.
Not deeply.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy with myself nowadays. Yeah, I was a neurotic mess for many years and stuff. So yeah, you could say that was a monster. But you get older, you mellow out. I go with the flow. And my monsters are my friends.
Amen.
People have nightmares to me. They're joyous dreams, I love the sound effects, right?
Okay, this was from Bird Box by Josh Mallerman, which later became a Netflix series. So can you...
No. Yeah, Netflix movie. Yeah.
Oh, okay, movie.
They're #1 Netflix movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little about meeting Josh and working on this story?
I met him only once down at the Merrimack Valley Halloween Fest, but I had worked for him before then. When I did Bird Box, I had no clue who he was. And a guy named Paul Miller from Earthling Publications. He and I are friends, and I do a lot of work for him. And he asked if I'd like to take it on, and I read the story, and he went, "Well, this is Hell on Wheels. This is quite the story." So again, I got the manuscript ahead of time, and I drew, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 things for it. And I drew it, and he liked it, and Josh liked it, and off it went to the printer, and then lo and behold, it became the biggest blockbuster movie in
Wow.
Netflix history.
Wow.
So that was quite something.
I'm sorry, guys.
And there it is,
Yeah,
right there.
I'm so sorry. I had it stuck on the last one. So that's this is actually one of my favorite of your drawings. I love this drawing.
Yeah.
So cool. So,
A lot of you guys have probably seen that, where the woman has to wear the blindfold and you can't look at anything because,
yeah.
it's a long, scary story, but it was a famous Netflix.
Yeah. And here's another Josh Mallerman. This is the alternative.
That's the sequel from Mallory, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool too. Okay. So this drawing was for Sometimes They Come Back.
Which is one of my favorite creepy short stories by Steve.
Yeah.
Because
very creepy.
It really, a few things get me, but that one got me because you got a substitute teacher, actually a new teacher that goes to a new school, and there are these 3 hoodlum kids that kind of die in a car crash, and everybody's sad, and then a few weeks later, 3 new students appear when they transfer it in from Milford, and they pick on the teacher and make his life miserable. And it's a long, convoluted story. There's a lot more to it than that. But finally, he gets asking questions. Where did these kids come from? Where's this Milford? And it turns out that Milford's a cemetery. And they all transfer it in from that. And that one line creeped me.
Yeah.
Always stuck with me. Go, Steve.
Okay, this painting was for Born to the Dark by Ramsey Campbell.
Yep.
And these were kids going into transcendental meditation to escape horrible foster parents.
Yeah. Ramsey is done a lot of stuff for Ramsey, and he's a good guy. He's an English guy that writes uber creepy stories. He's quite famous.
Glenn, do you have any artists, horror or otherwise, that inspire you? Or are you just pretty much living out of your head with the inspiration?
Well, no, God, no, I've been inspired by a lot of people. I was a counterculture kid, in the end of the 60s and stuff, so I was inspired by underground comics. Okay. R. Crumb was one of my biggest influences. Bernie Wrightson, in the spooky genre. Richard Corbin, I liked him a lot. So a lot of that era, and again, I grew up in all the underground comics, and I came out of that. But then I had this spooky shit in my head, so I kind of went that way.
Right.
So.
Okay, this is The Dust Jacket for You Like It Darker by Stephen King.
Yep.
How long did that painting take you to do?
Again, I slaved on that one probably better part of a week.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And this one is for Stephen King's Holly.
Yep.
A reporter during COVID-19 who is hunting down 2 retired professors who, also happen to be cannibals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot to play with in that one. I think I captured 2020 pretty well in it.
Yeah. What is the bird mask thing?
That's a plague doctor.
Oh, okay.
Because, the Rona, the plague.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Let's hear it for the sound effects, man.
Okay. Are there some stories that are just too gory for you?
No.
Okay.
You gotta understand that we people in the business, what's gory to normal people is hilarious to us.
Okay,
So,
there you go. All right, let's just talk a little bit about composition. This is a very cool drawing to me because it's rectangular, but then it's got these curves in it, like the doctor's bending over and the shadow, and then the hands in the front that's sort of like a circle, so your eye keeps going. Real.
I honestly forget what the hell that one was about, but it's one of my more serious, grim entries.
Yeah, it's just really cool. And then there's like diagonal, there's all these lines in it and stuff. I just want to honor your artistry.
Well, it just tells them like I sees them.
There you go. Yeah, and here's another interesting composition. So you've got these this beautiful tree and a nice backlit, cemetery thing going on. And then you look up in the left-hand corner and there's this impaled wolf.
Well, that was from Salem's Lot.
Right.
And one of the scenes in there when Kurt Barlow comes to town, they have to sacrifice something. So that was a dog that got impaled on a fence for the cemetery.
Poor old dog.
Yeah.
All right. If you weren't dead yet, you'd be soon with that gravedigger dude looking over you.
The view from the top.
Yeah. All right.
Lost Souls Outside.
Okay, this is from Pet Cemetery by
Yes.
Stephen King.
Yeah, that's for the new collector's edition book.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the kid, young Gage.
So do you ever have horrible nightmares from this stuff? I know you like gore and stuff, but do you ever get weird nightmares from it?
I get some damned weird nightmares, but they're more interesting than spooky.
Okay.
I always say to myself, where did that come from? I had a dream, I posted about a dream I had a while back, and out of my childhood it crept up. A story about the Galloping Gourmet. Who remembers that guy?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he came into my head one night, and I was just saying, where the hell did he come from? He hadn't been on since the 70s, I don't think. So.
It's lurking in the catacombs
Yeah.
of your cortex.
Something spurned him. I ate at Ramsey's Kitchen out in Vegas. Maybe I was channeling all this.
Okay, here's another illustration from Bird Box again.
Got to pick which route to take.
Yeah. So do you believe in an afterlife?
God, I hope not.
There's
What
another.
I'd like to go is go night and see it. That would be it, folks.
Fair enough. It's a beautiful image, though. Okay, we'll go through a few more of these. I don't really understand what's going on in this one, but I like
It was
it.
a cemetery dance story. The guy goes into this labyrinth. As far as I know, I did it quite a while ago.
Yeah. It's really cool, though. I like all the markings, pen markings. And this
That
one,
goes along with the same story.
yeah. You gave me a copy of this because I had this pinned up on my wall in my
Yeah.
studio for a while. Very cool.
Kind of cool to see these things up on the big screen.
Isn't it? Yeah, they expand well.
I drew them that big,
Yeah. Okay. And here we have Sleeping Beauties.
Sleeping Beauties from Steve and Owen King, young son Owen.
Yeah. About
who
a
co-wrote that. Yeah.
mysterious plague that causes women to fall into a deep sleep.
Yeah, it's also a fairy story. It's good.
Oh, yeah?
It's a really cool story, yeah.
Okay. This next series is for those of you who are into real estate.
There's that cat.
Yeah. Okay, this was illustration for Salem's Lot by Stephen King.
Yep.
Very cool. Do you know of any haunted houses in the area?
Oh, we've got a few.
Yeah. Keeping it a secret. Okay.
I can think of a few
Yeah.
offhand around here. We are the oldest part of the country, so you know.
Yeah. Okay, that's another Salem's Lot. This one reminds me sort of the money pit a little bit. Like
Yeah.
you buy a house and don't realize what you've gotten yourself
Yeah.
into.
The kids are creeping up to the Marston house in the light of day, hoping to stake the damp, but things don't go well. So,
Yeah. Okay, and here's a house I think you would enjoy living in.
I would.
Yeah.
That was for a recent story.
Yeah. From the rack?
From the rack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a never before seen illustration. Yeah, just buried.
You think I was a romantic little cuss for that one?
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it was a Valentine's Day card I did. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and this is Ramsey
This is
Campbell.
Ramsey.
I guess you had told me he's into interdimensional stuff, so you kind
Yeah,
of.
he's big on, Lovecraft sort of, stuff. So
Yeah,
he's a good guy, Ramsey.
it's another really great portrait. Okay, this one made me laugh when I saw it. This was,
Christmas time.
yeah, never seen Santa quite done like that before. Pretty cool. All right, well, we have come to the end of the official slideshow here. We have some time for questions, if anybody has some questions to ask Glenn.
I'm an open book.
Yeah.
Go.
If you had multiple works and you had multiple people you were working for, would you switch back and forth to see who liked which one better, to know what they wanted?
Well, what do you mean?
I don't know, like if you had several pictures and you were trying to give it to one person, they didn't really want it, but you had another job, we could take those pictures and show them to the other author.
Well, see, my thing is, I'm targeted. They say all my work, publishers say, do this for this particular story, and it's got to look like that, or you've got to read this story, and it's got to adhere to that. So they're all personalized.
Right.
I can't draw a clown and try and sell it to some guy who wants an octopus. Yeah, everything's targeted by me. All the publishers I work for will, send me the different stories, and I read them ahead of time, and I make my mind up. Then oftentimes I'll draw something, and I'll say, is this going to work? And they'll say yay or nay, and if not, I'll, keep going till I please them. Oh,
Could you tell me what medium you use to do your sketching?
I use micron pen, little throw rapidity.
Okay.
But I lose my thing.
They got a couple bucks in it.
I use microns, like throwaway rapidograph pen and ink pens.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do you use graphite at all?
Rarely, just to sketch some stuff out.
So when you use the pens for color too,
No, when the color stuff you see here, that's all acrylic paint. Yeah, I use acrylics.
On paper.
On paper, cardstock paper. Hey.
What did you remember the first painting? I remember you walking into the woman's shop, dropping on the floor, and just drawing, but I don't remember what you drew.
Oh God, back then I was probably drawing steam shovels and G.I. Joes or something. Dude.
How did you meet Steve, and do you ever work digitally?
No, I never work digitally. I'm old school. I push paint around before I draw. I'm kind of a gothic wonder in today's AI world. But I'm a little proud of it because, there's human involvement involved. But how did I meet Steve? I met, must be 25 years ago now. Richard Chismer, I worked for Cemetery Dance magazine I illustrated a lot of short stories for, tons of horror writers out there. So Richard Chesma, the publisher of Cemetery Dance, approached me one day and he said, well, why don't we query Steve and see if he'd ever let us do, some graphic work on short stories. And I went, yeah, well, what are the chances, But he said, well, we should both write him letters and send him up a sample of your work. And so we both wrote him letters and I cobbled together some samples of some of my better stuff and we sent it up to Bangor. And in the meantime, I had met his personal assistant, Marcia Filippio. She turned out to be a great friend of mine. And we used to go to conventions and, you sort of meet and greet people. And so I said, what the hell, we'll send up some samples. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, we got the go-ahead for me to create some of his short stories. And that's how it started. And then from there, one thing led to another. And I wound up meeting the people that ran his radio station, and I did their designs for years. And, just one thing snowballed after another. And I tried to do a good job for him, and he liked what I did. And, on it went.
Sometimes, when you're in school, your artistic impulses can be interpreted differently, and teachers get very concerned.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they were concerned about me. Nowadays, there's been a fleet of psychiatrists in there.
What were your doodling and some of your previous illustrations?
I used to work Danny Day. We had to have mechanical drawing class. And we had to draw these exacting houses and whatnot, but I'd always put like guys hanging from the windows or an axe coming, down the hallway. People on fire, running, bailing out through the back window. So yeah, there might be some psychiatric care involved there, but it was the 70s and the 80s, man. We didn't worry about that shit back then. No.
So when you were growing up, was it always your dream to be able to make a living for your art? Or?
I had no choice in what I do. It's as natural as breathing. If I didn't make a dime, I'd be in a cardboard box looking for duct tape in Portland, and I'd open a vein to draw on the side of it. That's just how it was. I've always done this as natural as taking my breath. And if I got paid for it or not, I'd still be doing it. So it's more of it's my DNA, So, yo.
Are there any local publications where people might be able to see your work week after week?
Lincoln County News.
Can you tell us anything about those illustrations?
Oh God, I've been working with them. I just had my 35th anniversary for them. Yeah. That led. I had a girlfriend who worked there here in East Stetson, and she said to Sam Roberts, who at the time owned the paper, she said, "Why don't you give Glenn a shot doing a cartoon? It might be kind of fun for the paper." And so he said, "Sure." So I did it, and it stuck, and here we are, 35 years later. So, yep.
Questions over there in the corner.
Anybody else? Hey.
Hey, Glenn. When you sit down to do a drawing, do you have a couple going at one time? I mean, would you be doing one for somebody and then start another one? Or do you like to just finish them when you start them?
No, I'm anal that way. I got to do one thing at a time, then I zero in on what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I'll have 2 or 3 books going at one time.
Well, it's because you're the famous Jehovah Stoner.
And my other question was, are you still writing music?
I do once in a while, yeah, for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to be jamming to the Stones right off or anything, but I have a good time at it, and it limbers my wrist up after the day, so yeah. Oh, the back.
You said you just draw them as they come to you, but how do you decide where to start?
It's kind of an unanswerable question, really. I I get a vibe, and I just kind of start fiddling around, I go from there. I have no real plan or explanation. It just trips out of my head.
I was thinking about the one with the boy sitting in the corner, and then there's all the floorboards down on the corner
Yeah.
below. Did you make a conscious decision to put him in the corner?
Yeah. Yeah, I followed the story in the book. He's, jammed in the corner. He's in fear, and he's in a haunted lighthouse, so,
Damon, could you put number 6 up? We can see that one again. If you're
Oh, I
up
forgot that one.
That's
Oh.
the one we're talking about, right?
Yeah, that was one of Steve's
Yeah,
Christmas
thanks.
cards one year from the story, Rat. Anybody else?
There's someone in the back over there.
No.
I'm just curious, Glenn, in the previous one with the mouse and all the detail, how big was the actual drawing that you did?
Those were, that was a Christmas card for Steve. That was, they aren't very big. They're usually about 8.5 by 11.
The original
55.
was 8.5 by 11, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
Most of my stuff is 8.5 by 11.
real long.
Either that or 11 by 17. Yeah.
That was 55, I think.
No.
Do you ever show him buffs and does he give you notes? Where you just go from the start?
Well, that's another thing where it's kind of peculiar to me. I can't really draw simple things. Once I start, my machinery just takes over and I have to finish it up and put all my detail in. So, yeah. Win, lose, or draw. Yeah.
Shall we give a little shout out to Sheila?
Oh, yeah, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to have my wife stand up and take a bow because it's her birthday today. And she's kept me fed and alive these many years.
Doesn't she also read some of the, oh, wait a minute.
I would like to suggest perhaps would it be applicable for something, happy birthday to Sheila?
Yes.
Well, I'm all for it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sheila. Happy birthday to you.
See that? We should have had a band, man.
Did you make her a card?
I did.
Was it gory?
No. Some things are sacred. No. Go, let her rip. I would love to start belting out Nick Noxious tunes again, but half my band are dead.
Perfect.
And no, I cherish the memories of those. That was a fun time. Yep. Go.
I've got to think about your childhood and your, adolescence and how, a lot of kids would have really been steered towards something other than just letting their DNA take over and become artists, right? Was your environment just creative and wonderful and your folks helped you and supported you, or did you just kind of do it on your own? Or
I grew up in an absolute petri dish of anxiety. It was just, dread or horror. It wasn't much fun. So I escaped into myself, into my imagination. And it was a combative mechanism if I were to be to shrink nowadays, looking back at my junior self. But it all worked out for the better. And today, what time I've got left, I'm a fairly happy guy, which is in the end of it all.
He's asking if Glenn's
No.
parents are artists, for those in the back who can't hear.
No, they might as well have been trying to raise a giraffe, man. They didn't know how to. I'm completely different than either one of them, so
Are you an only child?
I was. Yeah,
Your husband.
sort of, yeah, but he was long gone. Yeah,
You were raised in that house that you live in now?
yep. Yep, and then when my father, he died, and then Shirley was living there, my mother and I said, well, we were getting hitched. I had lived in Portland for a couple of years. Then I moved back, and I was married once before, and that was kind of a nightmare, and that didn't last long. And then I took a year. But anyway, long story short, my mother was getting older, and Sheila and I got married, and I said, well, why don't we, build a duplex on and let her live her days out there, and she'd be happy, and we'd, tend to her and whatnot. And we no sooner got it built, and she wound up down in Cove's Edge for 14 years, still holds the title as the longest resident. So we have like his and hers houses, so, now we rent half of it, but, that's how that whole thing came about.
Any last questions? Oh, one more.
One more.
Did you ever doubt when you were in Portland and you were penniless and you were in school and did you ever have any doubt at all that you just had to keep on going? Was there a flicker?
Well, again, I didn't have any choice in the matter. It's just wired into me. It's just, I mean, I always did different things art-wise to make a buck. Like I painted signs, and I did a lot of stuff for bars and restaurants over there and around here for that matter. But I really like the spooky genre, and I really like books and, the things that are really close to my heart. And so in time, all that kind of swam my way, and I sort of got out of doing the other stuff and getting into doing what I really love. So I was lucky. If I had to boil it down to anything, it's luck. There's a lot of artists better than me, but, I paid my dues to play the blues, so.
Thank you for being
Explorations like Edward Gorey.
Oh, yeah, I loved Edward Gorey. Yep. No, a lot of the artists from that era, and so.
I think the other thing that you didn't mention is you work very, very hard. I mean, you work like 10 to 12 hours a day.
Yeah, I do. 10, 12,
So
12,
it's not
12,
just luck.
14 hours a day usually on stuff. Yeah, I live in a land of deadlines. I mean, it's fun and I love what I do, but at the same time, it's a job. And these people that pay me, they have deadlines. They've sold the books, and it has to be delivered in a certain amount of time. So, I'm under the thumb of deadlines a lot. But I'm wired that way. It's like homework when you're in high school. I always got it done beforehand to have it off my plate. So.
Last question. In the back.
I was just gonna ask if you have a favorite piece.
Oh, God. All this. If I have a favorite gig, and of all the things I've done for Steve, the book that I did, The Dark Man, is by far, I think, the best stuff I've ever done in my life, and it keeps growing wings. I mean, it's all over Europe now, and it's got a life of its own, so I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of all the Steve stuff, but I'm also proud of a lot of things that don't have anything to do with the book business, things I've done for people, friends, things that touch my heart. So, I can't really nail down a one thing, but as far as big 4-star stuff, I would have to say The Dark Man. Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank
for
you.
this amazing